So I have a lot of Selmer mouthpieces here, and I want to share a couple things that both I've discovered and some of my friends have pointed out to me when it comes to finding the potential of Selmer mouthpieces. So Brad Bain says this is the sweet spot. There's no facing stamp on the back here, low made in France. On the back there's a table, low small font, lowercase font. And these pieces have really great baffles. Really fantastic baffles that scoop all the way in. They're high at the tip and really nice internals, nice exit bore. These are just some of the best Selmer mouthpieces ever made. The other one that I like is the pre-logo. It's a low logo. It says H. Selmer here. And generally those have bores that are massive. But if you find one that has a bore that's not too crazy, you can have a really great player. Here's another one. Small font, lowercase table. Really nice tip rail. Once again, nice throat shape. Very nice baffle. There's a lot to work with there, and it goes low down there. These really can be incredible mouthpieces that can sometimes rival really great Shedvells, and not a lot of people know about them. Sometimes if it's a table and it's a low logo, those can play really flat because the exit bores can be too big, but sometimes they're really good. So after that, this looks almost the same. No facing stamp on the back here. Typically there's an oval with like HS or C star or something, but this has been refaced. Poorly, I might add. That throat shape is not quite as good for me, but there's still some cool stuff going on with the baffle. Unfortunately, I think the baffle on the tables, those center logo tables, is better for me. And the bore is better, the chamber is better. All right, now here's something that takes an interesting eye. I want you to compare the stamps, the logo stamps. So, do you really notice much difference between, say, the table series on the left, oval series there, and these? No, not really. Not much difference in the logo. Until we get about there. And we start to notice that only the S and the R is visible, because the facing stamp is wearing out. And once again, S and R, S and R, S and R, S and R, S and R. These pieces are much worse. So let me compare once again one of the really great tables. Larger exit bore, not too big, nice throat shape, really great baffle. Let me compare with this. This does have the facing stamp on the back. Low made in France, just like all these have low made in France, very low. That's a little wider in the throat, but there's some good stuff going on in the baffle. That almost looks like an oval. And the exit bore is larger. I really do like this one. This one, same thing. Visible stamp, not bad. And what do you know? Some stuff going on with the baffle. And a larger exit bore. Same with this one. Strong stamp. Very nice throat shape. Nice baffle. Nice stamp. Nice throat. The baffle's not quite as good. Now, after this period, there's something that saxophone players call the snub nose period. Still a nice stamp. The rubber oxidation looks a little different. The stamp looks a little different. Okay. Now, you might not notice this, but the baffle at the tip is really high, and it's too high, and it just the rollover is very trite and extreme. The tables have a really more subtle rollover, and if you can notice there, you'll notice that it's just too high here. If I compare to the really nice table, which has a really nice rollover at the tip, much nicer work, and this is, even though it's rolling over, this is lower here. So that snub nose period is the rare example of a baffle on a clarinet that's actually too high. It's actually too high, but that can be worked down. So there's still something to work with there. After that point, when we start to get to the S and R period, life gets much worse. The exit pores get really, really tight. Really tight. The throats get a little tighter, which is not necessarily bad, and then the baffles just lose anything interesting going on. They start to become very, very boring. Small exit bore. That baffle's not too bad, but it's nothing like how crafted some of the others are. And that's true for all these SNR logo. Okay, then something happens, and I want you to notice how different this logo is. This logo looks a lot cleaner and a lot more modern. And this is, I think, a 90s era. Because, yeah, that baffle is the most boring of all. And these play even worse than the S&R period. One last thing to notice. Selmer, Elkhart, Indiana. Look at that stamp of the 3 versus these Bundys. Same stamp of the 3. These blanks can be really good. They're very different, though. I like these better, actually, than the later S&R stamp Selmers. My good friend showed me that S&R trick. That's pretty cool. And there's actually... I prefer that baffle to some of those later Selmers. So these Bundy 3s can actually be good refacing projects. And sometimes the blanks are a little better. Sometimes they're a little worse. That's a nice throat. And that's a pretty cool baffle. There's a lot to work with there. But yeah, these Bundys can be nice, at least refacing projects. Have more potential than these shallow stamps. If you see a full stamp that looks like that, be careful that it's not a modern stamp, more modern stamp. Look at the difference in the facing stamp there versus there. Very different type of facing stamp. These mouthpieces do have some potential. Not as much as an oval or a table, but if the logo looks clear and legible and evenly stamped, you might just have a mouthpiece with an exit board that isn't too tight, with a baffle that has something going on that might warrant a nice first adventure into refacing. And certainly great for students, too.